This is Mayor Shave. Oh, is the recording on?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. This is Mayor Shave, and it's Wednesday, March 10th, 2021 at 7:47 p.m. and I call the council meeting to order. Public comment period is included during the Zoom video meetings. The public was notified that if they wish to speak during the meeting, an email be sent to Patricia Soul, City Clerk, and indicate if they would like to speak or have the clerk read the comment. If they desire to comment live, they will be called on during the meeting and allowed to speak for 3 minutes. Written comments provided before the meeting have been provided to the city council members and will be read into the record up to the current 3-minute time limit. Something new came up. There were several letters that came in to the clerk, and they didn't indicate whether they were to be read at the meeting. So we reached out to them, and 3 answered back that we could read their letters on the meeting. So out of the letters that we have, there's some that we don't specifically have permission to read. And I'm going to leave it up to the council members if you want them all read or just the 3 that we have permission for. You have copies of all of them. So, Council President Shaw.
So I would just chime in to say that I appreciate the sensitivity. We all know those letters are public record, but we have members of the public who aren't always aware of the nuances of how we do our meetings. So if we didn't hear back from them, I would just say from my perspective that I'm fine with them not being read into the record, and any member of the public certainly could make a request to see those if they wish.
I would agree. Is there any other opinions by the council? Nathan?
Just in reading them, I don't recall any of them actually stating that they were for public comment specifically. So I'm okay with the ones that didn't respond not being read into the public comment period.
Okay. Anybody else feel differently? All right. Alan?
Just more of a clarification. I thought it was standard procedure that since they are public record, they would be read into the record at the meeting. That is not true, apparently. In other words, you can write a letter to the council, and if you don't specifically request that it be read aloud, then it won't be. Is that right?
Due to the sensitive nature, potential sensitive, Patrice, I'm going to let you speak.
Thank you. So there is in the Aberdeen Municipal Code correspondence to City Council through the City Clerk. If there is an action that is requesting legislative action, then that will be, at least a summary will be provided to City Council on the record, including a person's name and address. However, if the correspondence is received after 12 noon the day before City Council, then it can wait until the next City Council for additional to be read into the record. So I don't know when that correspondence was provided. It is not required to be read into the record in total. It can be summarized, but the name and address of the individual is intended to be on that. If those comments are seen as comments rather than as a request for legislative action, then that would not necessarily fall into that category. It appears to me that they were not in the regular public comment format that we have requested for public comment. It is not clear to me whether all of those comments were intended as anything other than expressing an opinion, not necessarily requesting legislative action. So I would defer, given that interpretation, at least until the next city council, so we can look into that more closely. Does that address your question?
Oh, gotcha. No, gotcha.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to ask the clerk to read the public comments that we were given permission to read.
Point of order, you kind of skipped a roll call,
Roll call.
approval of minutes, agenda items.
Good point. Thank you.
Details.
Well, there's two places where it says public comments on my paper. I was already in the second one before I got through with the first one. So, City Clerk Sol, will you take a roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Andrews.
Here.
Councilmember Ellis.
Yes, here.
Councilmember Francie.
Here.
Councilmember Gordon.
Here.
Councilmember Cashman.
Here.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Present.
Councilmember Mackey.
Here.
Councilmember Richrod.
Here.
Councilmember Ross.
Here.
Councilmember Shaw.
Here.
Councilmember Short.
Here.
Mayor Shave.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes.
Mayor Shave,
Yes.
I would move that we approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Is there any discussion?
Mayor Shave?
Yes.
I received a note from our clerk's office that the minutes don't show a second for the approval of the minutes at the last meeting. So who remembers whether they seconded the minutes, and we'll need to amend them to include the second. Does anybody remember if they were the second last time?
Think I may have, because I usually jump on it.
Oh, Patricia's waving her hand. Did I say that wrong?
Well, we reviewed the video and we did not see a second, both myself and Sandra.
So I did not have time to ask either Patricia or Patrice what the protocol would be to get a second for those minutes. Can I ask for a second now and amend them, or what do I do?
Patricia or Patrice.
Thank you. From a
Corporation
parliamentary procedure background, it would be appropriate to bring it back up and to correct the record, to have the motion and second now, and in addition to the motion and amend, if you need to amend today's last week's minutes as well. You could do it all in one motion and have it seconded.
So I would move that we approve the minutes of the two previous meetings. I would amend my motion to include the minutes of the two previous meetings.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve the minutes tonight and of the previous meeting. Is there any
Oh.
discussion?
Tonight and the previous meeting, not the two previous meetings.
Right, that's what I said.
Not the minutes for tonight, because we're having that meeting now.
That's right.
For the,
For the
yeah,
meeting
the
of,
approve
two
the minutes
previous
of the
meetings.
previous meeting and the meeting previous to that. Phew.
Holy cow.
So there was a motion and seconded. Is there any discussion? Phew. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. The minutes of last meeting and the one before that are approved. Wow.
So, Mayor Shave, to the point of being tedious, that was an amended motion. But we all know what we did, so I think it's good.
Okay. Can we
And
move
I'm
on?
just bringing that up in case one of our little point of order people, Patrice or Patricia, wants to tell us we did it wrong.
Okay,
I'm
We're
comfortable
moving-
moving
we're-
on. We know what we did.
we're moving
I will
along.
defer to the council for the intent, and everyone seems to have understood the intent.
Thank you.
All right, are there any additions or deletions?
Mayor Shave?
Council President Shaw.
Yes, I would ask the council, I would move to add a resolution authored by Council Member Katie Cashman honoring former Mayor Bill Simpson's service to our city.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, motion was made and seconded to add a resolution. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. So this will be added to the Finance Committee report.
Actually, Mayor, I would thought was a special agenda item where we have a space for resolutions.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Is there any other additions or deletions? I have I have a discussion under appointments for Park Board, empty seat. And I also have an appointment for a real estate review committee seat. And so
I move that we add those to this end of the agenda on behalf of the mayor, his appointment.
Second.
thank you. Motion was made and seconded to add these two items under appointments. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Now we'll move on to public comments period where the city clerk will read the comments that she was given permission by the writers to present here tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. The first one is from Richard Duke, and this is his message. To whom this may concern. Hello, my name is Richard Duke, and I am the produce manager for Safeway in Aberdeen. It has been a whole year now since the COVID pandemic, and during this time, it has been very stressful and nonstop crazy in the grocery store this pandemic has created. A lot of customers to be rude and obnoxious, and they have no respect for us. I've tried to social distance by backing away, but with each step I take back, they step forward. Wearing masks makes it hard, not only for us workers, breathing while working 8 to 10 hours a shift per day, but it has also caused health concerns, and it is also hard to understand people, which I believe has been why people tend to disrespect the social distancing. Every day we encounter thousands of customers who shop at Aberdeen Safeway. We are in close contact with them. We have no social 6-foot distancing between us and the customers. Every day we feel at risk of getting COVID and spreading it to our family. It has been an emotional roller coaster through this pandemic. I have been in the grocery industry for 34 years, and I'm not complaining about my job because I love what I do and I enjoy interacting with the customers. Over time, you get to know so many great customers and you get to know them by name. I feel that during this past year, all the panic has brought out the worst in a lot of people. I really do feel like hazard pay should be implemented as the pandemic has affected us tremendously. We have been on the front line, putting ourselves and our families at risk to serve our community. We don't get a choice whether or not we could stay home, stay quote, quote, home open. We were considered essential workers. So I ask you to implement hazard pay to the essential workers, as I feel that's what we deserve, that we deserve it. Regards, sincerely, Richard Duke. That's comment 1. Comment 2 is from Bonnie Woodland. And she says, Good afternoon/evening. I work at Safeway and I'm hopeful that the Aberdeen City Council can help with our Union 367 getting hazard pay back for us. We have been considered as essential workers throughout the pandemic. We have worked long hours to keep our shelves full for all customers. We are screened first thing every day to keep our coworkers and customers safe. I am a single mother. I could not afford to become ill, but it is unnerving to go to work not knowing if the customer you're helping has been exposed. We are putting our lives on the line every day, and I feel we deserve hazard pay. Thank you for your time in this matter. Bonnie Woodland, Safeway Meat Department. So now the third comment. This is from Ashley Miller. Email, but her name is Ashley Smith. To whom it may concern. Hi, my name is Ashley Smith. I'm an employee at Safeways in Aberdeen, Washington. I think we should be able to get paid hazardous pay. I don't understand why people think us frontline workers do not deserve hazard pay. We work with the public just like other people in the state. We have to deal with people that don't want to wear a mask when they come into the store. We ask them to put one on. They come back saying they can't wear one because they have breathing problems. So please consider us frontline workers to get hazard pay. I know we would appreciate something in return for all the work we do. We're putting ourselves in the line of fire by working in the public and people not wanting to wear their masks or even 6 feet apart. So please keep us frontline workers in thought about things. And that is all the public comments.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to move on to Finance Committee.
Good evening. Finance Committee met tonight at 6 p.m. via Zoom and talked about the agenda item, of course. The state's in the process of completing their audit with the city and working with the city to schedule the exit interview in the coming weeks. And Director Soul shared a little bit of information about the latest legislation that was passed by the federal government. And I'm just going to read a couple things. She referenced the Association of Washington Cities and what they had put out on March 1st. So I just want to read a couple things from what they had put out for everyone's edification. The relief package known as the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 provides $65 billion in flexible federal funding to all cities across the country. Under the bill, the funds could be used to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic, ensure the continuation of essential services, and address negative economic impacts, including replacing lost city revenue resulting from the ongoing pandemic. Additionally, local jurisdictions can pool their funding with other local governments and share funding with local nonprofits. I'm going to skip a paragraph that doesn't really apply to us. In Washington, the state expects to receive and distribute $2.4 billion to local jurisdictions. Once the state receives federal funds under the Rescue Act, cities will need to apply to the state and receive their allocation. State leadership is in the process of developing a distribution plan for the funds. AWC expects the plan to follow a similar roadmap that's used by the Department of Commerce when distributing coronavirus relief funds in 2020. The allocation to the cities applying through the state will be capped at 75% of a city's most recent adopted budget as of January 27th, 2020. So I won't go on and read the entire thing, but it is good news to hear potentially more money coming to the city to help with the COVID-19 pandemic. So that's all I had from the report. I would make a motion to approve the expenditures and payroll.
A second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve the expenditures and payroll. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, City Clerk Soul, this is a roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Motion to approve the accounts payable in the total amount of $1,252,802.19 and payroll in the total amount of $800,816.84. Check numbers 25078 and 72347 through 72514 and wires 1243 through 1245. And the roll call will start. So Councilmember Andrews,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Councilmember Francie,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordon,
Muted.
Yes.
Councilmember Cushman,
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Mackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Richrod,
Yes.
Councilmember Ross,
Yes.
Councilmember Shaw,
Yes.
Councilmember Short,
Yes.
approved unanimously.
Thank you. You have the floor, Committee Chair Katzman.
Under reports and communications, this report is offered as informational only. No action is requested at this time. The city is on the final path for completed design building documents for the gateway, and it is now time to complete phase 4 of the project and advertise for a project manager. Staff has completed the RFP and will be advertising for the project manager this month. Staff anticipates bringing forward a final recommendation at the April 14th City Council meeting. And that is all from the Finance Committee this evening.
Thank you. So we'll move on to Public Works, Committee Chair Kennedy.
Good evening. Public Works Committee met yesterday at 4 o'clock semi-promptly. We always like to have a little discussion, see how everybody's been for the previous 2 weeks. But at the meeting, we had a good discussion about our agenda items and also our vegetation mitigation plans. We talked about some of the pesticides, or not pesticides, sorry, herbicides and processes that the city uses to manage vegetation that grows in the cracks on the sidewalks and along the sides of the roads and that kind of thing. And Public Works is working to update that plan. So we should see an updated plan here coming for us pretty soon. So we're really excited to see what we can do to, or what they're coming up with, and all the new ways we're going to be able to deal with the vegetation and keep our city looking nice and clean. Anyhow, moving on to our reports. First, we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the City Council shall authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with David Evans and Associates, Inc. for professional services for the Aberdeen US 12 Highway Rail Separation Project. I move that we accept this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries.
Next, we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the mayor shall be authorized to sign an agreement with John Lupo Construction, Inc. for $32,395.67 for solids building roof repairs. I move that we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Council Member Kennedy.
So under discussion, this John Lupo came in at about half of what the other bidders put in. However, there is a part of the contract that if they start getting into there and there's more than what they expected to deal with, there's language in there that will allow them to potentially charge a little bit more, and that'll come back to council if that happens. But it's nice to see that it's staying with a local company and that we're gonna get that taken care of and get a good deal.
Good, thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, next we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the City Council pass a resolution in support of the interlocal agreement with the Cowlitz-Wahkiakum Council of Governments for the purpose of ongoing operation of the Southwest Washington Regional Transportation Planning Organization. I move that we adopt this report.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries.
All right, next we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the City Council pass a resolution adopting the updated water system plan and water use efficiency goals. I move that we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries.
Okay, next in resolutions. First, we have a resolution adopting the amended and restated interlocal agreement of the Southwest Washington Regional Transportation Planning Organization. I move that we accept this resolution.
Motion was made and seconded to accept this resolution. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
That's-
opposed? Motion carries.
That's resolution 2021-08.
Okay, next we have a resolution approving adoption of an updated water system plan and water use efficiency goals. I move that we accept this resolution.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve this resolution. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Resolution number 2021-09.
I knew it was going to be 09.
And Mayor, that is all from Public Works tonight.
Thank you, sir. Public Safety Committee Chair report from Councilmember Andrews.
Well, we met at 6:30 tonight. Until we get another member, we're still 3 and everybody was there. So it was there's one item on the agenda tonight for jail services with the city of Westport, pretty straightforward. Their police department's working on the criminal justice facility feasibility study. They did a workshop with the people with Matthew Coates. So they're doing great. The VIPs for the month of February, 234 hours. Most of that's been at the vaccination site. But you know, the chief figured it out. If we paid them $15 an hour, that would be $3,517.50 of service to the citizens of Aberdeen. The police department's bike unit started the training process and they've already been out on the bikes. They put in about 230 miles collectively. The DC informed us they've done about 70 contacts. They've done subject stop, traffic stops, disorderly conduct, trespassing. They're putting about 20 miles per shift, and that's all 3 shifts. So these electric bikes, I guess they've got them up to about 30 miles an hour. But so, I mean, they're saving wear and tear on our police cars, and they're making it easier for them to interact with the public. So it's kind of nice. Over on the fire department side, they're working on their site information as well with their architect. I'm trying to get to my report. So, you know, they've gotten a couple preliminary drawings. So now they're working on, you know, site identification, because, you know, we're talking about 2 sites there. So it's just a whole thing. So the February call statistics, 407 calls. That's 2 2-alarm fires, 356 rescue and emergency medical service calls, and then the rest miscellaneous other calls, but 407. So the fire chief put it in perspective. The Graham Regional Fire Authority, hold on just a second. My coworkers. He decided to yell at the cat. So he said that the Graham Regional Fire Authority has 98 people 5 fire stations, and they did 470 calls last month. We have 2 stations, 9 people on shift, and we did 407. So we have a very, very busy department. So, and the vaccine site's going to go for the next 3 days, and they're hoping to do at least 900 vaccinations per day. So that's great. All right, we have one item on the agenda tonight. It's our report from Public Safety and the Chief of Police recommending that the mayor be authorized to sign an interlocal agreement with the city of Westport regarding jail services. I move we accept this report.
Rich Rod, second.
Motion was made and seconded to accept this report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
And that's it from Public Safety.
Thank you. We'll move on to special agenda items. First item is item D, resolutions by Councilmember Katzman.
Mayor Shave,
Yes.
I would move that we adopt the resolution, have it read into the record that honoring council, former mayor Bill Simpson.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the resolution and have it read into the record. Is there any discussion? Under discussion, Councilmember Kennedy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I didn't have a chance to respond in email, but I wanted to thank Katie Ketchman for writing this and bringing it to council.
Thank you.
Well done.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Would Councilmember Katzman like to read that into the record?
Yes, thank you. I would love to. Let me share my screen here too. All right, please stop me if you're not able to see my screen here. A resolution honoring Bill Simpson for his 33 years of service to the city of Aberdeen as both mayor and city council member. Whereas the city of Aberdeen should recognize individuals who make our community a better place. Whereas Bill Simpson served as the mayor of the city of Aberdeen from the years 2008 to 2016. Whereas Bill Simpson served as mayor pro tem in 2007, Whereas Bill Simpson served as city council member representing the 5th Ward for 24 years prior to being mayor, including time as city council president. Whereas his length of service to the city includes many worthwhile and lasting accomplishments that will continue to benefit the city of Aberdeen and surrounding communities for many years to come. Whereas, unfortunately, Bill Simpson lost his fight with cancer on March 3rd, 2021. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the city honors former mayor Bill Simpson for his legacy of leading with enthusiasm, dedication, and humor to the community over the course of his 3 decades of public service. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to Bill Simpson's wife, Colleen Simpson, at a future in-person city council meeting in respectful tribute to his many hours of service to benefit the city of Aberdeen. Passed and approved this 10th day of March, 2021.
Thank you for reading that. That's a real nice thing that you did there, Katie.
Yeah.
My
Real-
pleasure.
And that's resolution 21-10.
Thank you.
Was that voted on?
Yeah, I think it was already voted on, and after it was
Yeah.
voted on, I asked Katie to read
Thank
it.
you. I just lost track of it. Sorry. Thank you.
I think that qualifies for a funny Mayor Simpson story.
Just one.
Mayor Simpson and I occupied the Fifth Ward Council desk for many years, and we had a fairly new drug dog at the police station, and she was just an amazing animal. And so we had the police were coming up to introduce the dog to the council and everyone. So Bill wasn't here yet, and so we stuck a bag of marijuana in his desk drawer. And so when they brought the dog in to introduce her to everybody, he said, "Well, I'll show you an example if anybody's got any drugs in here that she can find them." And everybody laughed, thinking, "Yeah, right. Nobody's got any drugs in here." And so he turned the dog loose, and she went around, and it was amazing how she'd done her thing and went around. And pretty soon she was all over Bill, and everybody's looking at Bill like, "What?" And the police department went into his desk, and sure enough, the dog knew it was there. Anyway, okay. So I have some appointments tonight. I would like to appoint Frank Gordon to the Real Estate Review Commission, and I will accept a motion to that.
So
I
moved.
so move.
There's second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion was made and seconded to appoint Frank Gordon to the Real Estate Review Commission. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion is approved. Frank Gordon, you are now a member of the Real Estate Review Committee. Also, I would like to mention that I have a park board seat open for someone from the public. So everybody and anybody who's interested in being on the park board, submit a letter of interest to mayor@aberdeenwa.gov, all lowercase, and we'll review those for your appointment. The appointment expires December 31st, 2021. And that's all I have. Is there anyone, so we'll move on to council comment period. Councilmember Andrews.
Going on, this is my 8th year on the council. I've been through 3 mayors, surprisingly enough. Pete, you're my 3rd mayor. But I started with Bill, and so, we knew each other from working at the chamber and stuff like that, or when I worked at the chamber, and, he'd been involved for years, but, I got to know him, and he's a good guy, so he's going to be very dearly missed by this city.
Thank you.
And I wish his wife, Colleen, all the best in her future.
Very good. Thank you, Tawny. Margot.
People on the council who didn't get a chance to work with Bill missed a good deal. He was a good leader, a good participant with us on the council, and just fun to be around, both him and Colleen. And so he is definitely going to be missed in many, many areas of Aberdeen.
Thank you. Any other council comments? Councilmember Ellis?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I wanted to comment on the letters that we received from, seems like all of them are from Safeway employees. And it just brought me back to where we had a letter of concern about Safeway last year. And I wrote a letter to Safeway, letting them know that we were hearing some concerns about their store and asking them for some follow-up. I never heard back. I want to let the letter writers know and the Safeway employees know that I think I can extend that to we care about them as important, vital members of our community, as critical workers that that we depend upon for access to groceries. I think that what they are asking us to do, although it wasn't stated specifically, was to consider implementing an ordinance like many other cities have done that calls for hazard pay for grocery store workers in larger grocery stores. King County passed such an ordinance giving grocery workers an added $4 an hour. Same with the city of Seattle. City of Burien passed an ordinance that would give grocery store workers an extra $5 an hour during this COVID time. Auburn and Port Angeles are considering writing an ordinance. There are a number of grocery store workers who have died and who are certainly at risk every day, as it's been pointed out, not only from our own local community, but from people who are traveling through and bringing who knows what strain with them when they come here. It's a tough job at the best of times, and during this COVID time, on their behalf and on behalf of the rest of our community, I want to remind people that it's so important to continue to wear our masks, as uncomfortable as they are, and to give these folks the space that they need to operate safely. It just takes reminding ourselves, and hopefully Safeway management will help to enforce proper safe protocols in their store to keep us all safe. I think that this is something for us to look into further. It's really encouraging that more and more people are getting vaccinated, and the Governor Inslee has allowed for all grocery store workers to be vaccinated starting, I think, the 20-something of March. So that will be very helpful. I would suggest we continue to monitor this and maybe discuss enacting an ordinance that would apply to our local community.
Thank you, Councilmember Ellis. Councilmember Kennedy.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Liz, you kind of beat me to the punch. I had actually looked this up, and I sent an email to our council president, as well as Patrice Kent and our Patricia Soul. So the city of Seattle passed this through their finance committee. And I think this is something that we should look into because, I mean, these guys, when we have an emergency, who's at the front line? We have our emergency responders like fire and police. And we have people in the grocery stores that are providing us service for food. And they, many times, like in this pandemic, they're definitely putting themselves on the line and, having to deal with some very unruly people that they wouldn't normally have to deal with. So I would like to, see if this is something that the council would like to request that the finance committee take up.
Corporate Counsel Kent, did you have a question, concern?
Thank you. Yeah, this was brought to my attention. Thank you, Councilmember Kennedy, as well. The city of Seattle and I believe King County as well are named in a federal lawsuit brought by the Northwest Grocery Association and another, including a request for a preliminary injunction against enacting that. The next hearing on the preliminary injunction is March 18th. Judge Kuhnauer is hearing the case in the Western District in Seattle. So it is another rapidly evolving area to consider. So I would just request that opportunity to have an informed legal opinion to provide to council in consideration of that.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Rick, did you have a comment? Your hand is up.
My hand's up?
Yeah.
Well, if it is, I have no idea how it happened.
Okay, just checking. Thank you. Anybody else on the council have any comments?
So I understand Patrice's concerns, but just point of order, because I'm that person. Nathan, you could make a motion to send that to finance committee on your own. But when we get to that point, just saying.
Thank you. So the last thing I want to mention is that our next meeting will have on the agenda
So,
to
Mayor,
appoint the first ward council member.
Mayor,
What?
were we done with council comments?
It appeared there nobody had their hand
I
up.
saw Councilmember Kennedy had his hand up, and I was.
No.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to thank Councilmember Andrews there. I decided to defer making a motion so that our legal counsel has opportunity to review the current litigation on that issue. I think that's very prudent before we make any more efforts towards doing something that might just completely wash out. And
Councilmember Kennedy and Councilmember Andrews, just it looks like, as I said, there's a March 18th decision as to whether the preliminary injunction will go through. And I think that that'll send a strong signal as to what the judicial system, where the judicial system is leaning on this. So that information could be provided at the next city council meeting.
Councilmember Shaw.
So I also had I won't surprise you, I'm sorry, but I also had a thought on this topic. So one of my thoughts was that some of the information that was provided to us seems to suggest that workers are feeling insecure because customers aren't following required safety protocols, and perhaps their employer is not implementing or enforcing required safety protocols. So I would like to move that this council refer all correspondence we have on this issue to the Department of Labor and Industries, which has COVID-19 protocols that grocery stores are required to follow. And maybe on the behalf of these workers, we can make sure that L&I takes a look at what's going on.
second.
Motion is made and seconded to refer this information to the Department of Labor and Industries. Is there any discussion?
I totally agree with that because I haven't been to Safeway in months, but I understand that they're very, very lax in following rules. And I think we even had somebody complain to us about that a few months ago. So I think that's a good idea.
Okay, any other discussion? Councilmember Ellis?
I just wanted to also say, brilliant idea. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. I mentioned next meeting we'll have on the agenda. Well, is there anybody else that has anything for council comment? Tawny?
Oh, so as our illustrious former mayor Simpson would always remind us, your F1s are due. So file your F1s. He used to always tell us that. I remember that. And I saw that email today and I totally meant to mention it.
Thank you. Good point. Councilmember Shaw.
I just want to remind everybody that next week we have a workshop for an overview of our capital facilities needs. And I've been in contact with some of our department heads. I'm still waiting to talk to the mayor, but this will just be the start of what I hope will be some ongoing discussions. It's not going to be down to the last nickel, but I've asked each department head to come and share what they see on the horizon in terms of capital needs for their department, and the mayor to speak to it generally for those things that don't fall under a specific department. I think this will be a very, very useful and helpful meeting for us. So just a reminder, next Wednesday.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I think I mentioned that we'll be choosing the new council member next council meeting. Okay, with that,
Move we adjourn.
motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adjourn.
Alan has his hand up for something.
We're adjourning. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Oppose?
Hey.
Motion carries. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Have a good night, everybody.